Thanks to modern-day policing methods, most murders are solved.
They have arrested an alleged serial killer.
Their suspect was captured this morning.
Police have arrested a suspected serial killer.
However, on occasions, even the most heinous of villains are never caught due to botched policing, a lack of witnesses, zero evidence, or just through the sheer luck of the killers themselves. From Brazil's biggest nightmare to the monster of Florence, let's look at 3 active serial killers that still terrorize people of the cities they committed heinous crimes in. Brazil's Rainbow Maniac. The name the Rainbow Maniac stirs up images of some sort of fluffy, lovable unicorn mascot from the most family-friendly professional sports team in existence. It's a nickname that doesn't spark thoughts of murder and hatred in the way it rightfully should. The Rainbow Maniac goes by another name, the Parturas Park Killer, and he's far from lovable. See, the type of serial killer the Rainbow Maniac embodies is arguably the worst of the worst. He not only murdered at least 13 individuals, but he's believed to have been motivated by an internal place of disdain, aimed at a group of people who never wished harm on anyone. A group whose members were simply trying to live a life denied to them for so many years. The Parturas Park murders occurred between 2007 and 2009 in Parturas Park in Carapicuíba, a suburb of São Paulo, Brazil, with the exception of one having been committed at a motel nearby. All but one of the known victims were men. All but one were shot at close quarters in the back of the head, and most of the victims' lifeless bodies were partially stripped of clothing. But the most striking and probably most disgusting piece of this killer's MO is the final similarity among the victims. Each of the people murdered by the Rainbow Maniac were LGBTQ+. Shortly after the murders were discovered, the local chief of police in charge of the investigation into the Rainbow Maniac case, as detailed by The Guardian, relayed to the press what they believed was the killer's motivation, saying, "In his head, he thinks he's doing a cleanup job." The authorities are certain the Rainbow Maniac passionately hates the LGBTQ+ community and fancies himself a kind of hero who's helping to cleanse the world of a people he doesn't believe deserve to live. It's pretty messed up, but more people out there think along those same lines than we'd like to believe. The Rainbow Maniac picked his hunting grounds wisely, as Parturas Park location was perfect for his hateful crime. According to NBC, it was a meeting point for local gay men. Not only was the killer's location prime, but his timing was almost equally as impeccable. The first of the murders took place in July of 2007, as noted by The Guardian, just days after the end of the LGBTQ+ Pride Month, when the community was just coming down from 30 days of celebration. His crimes caught the stragglers and converted the joy seen the month before into a wave of fear. There's only been one suspect in the Parturas Park murders that seemed promising. In fact, there's only been one suspect arrested in the case at all. Jairo Francisco Franco, a retired sergeant for the state police, was brought in by authorities on December 10, 2008, in connection with the murders. The Rainbow Maniac left behind a witness, who the investigators deemed credible and who allegedly watched Franco blast 12 rounds into a gay man at Parturas. If that wasn't enough, a second witness came forward who claimed to have seen the suspect frequently strolling through the park, scoping out targets. Many people might look at all the evidence that supports Jairo Francisco Franco as the Rainbow Maniac and think, "Yep, that's the killer, that's our guy, we got him." But a jury of 6 believed otherwise, and Franco was allowed to walk free in August of 2011. Since no killer has been convicted in the Rainbow Maniac case, nobody can officially say one way or another if this man was behind the murders. It leaves a lot for people to think about. Some believe the courts did the right thing. Others think he was let off due to his former police status or sympathy for homophobic hate. What do you think? Vending machine killer. Everything about the vending machine killing suggests this murderer differed from the average serial killer in notable ways and joined the ranks of the most sadistic in others. First off, the only type this killer targeted was whichever poor soul slipped a few yen into a soda machine. Second, unlike the majority of serial killers out there, the vending machine killer didn't murder his victims face to face. As reported during the time of the incidents, he used poison and slipped it into beverage bottles left in the dispenser slot of vending machines in Western Japan, so presumably he wouldn't have to watch the light fade from the victim's eyes. This poison wasn't a peaceful death. It didn't sweep his victims off with a smile. No, this poison was a brutal horror. The toxin of choice for the vending machine killer was paraquat, a herbicide poison with a torturous kick. When paraquat is ingested, it tears the body up over days or weeks. According to ClinMed International Library, the poison is filtered through the kidneys, which quickly destroys the victim's ability to remove it from the system shortly after circulation begins. It can then cause the organs to shut down one by one, but the real killer is in the lungs. Paraquat gravitates to oxygen saturation, so the lungs are the primary target. It causes fibrosis that slowly worsens, while the victim's lungs fill with fluid and they drown from the inside. The vending machine killer performed his attacks with intelligence. He devised a simple yet highly effective method of murder that kept him from raising suspicions while breaking his way into machines across the country to taint beverage bottles. The killer had the perfect circumstances already at his disposal. One of the Japanese health drink companies was running a buy one get one promotion to boost sales. Lucky customers would randomly get a second bottle of Oroname C from vending machines as a kind of marketing gimmick. Buying one bottle and getting two didn't seem odd. Oroname C wasn't the only beverage the killer poisoned. In several cases, the murderer laced Coke products instead, but the 2-for-1 special made Oroname C easier to get into the hands of unsuspecting locals. The vending machine killer struck in 1985, killing at least 10 and leaving over 30 others in seriously bad shape. Since there were no leads to follow, the authorities were stumped. They had no clues left to look at, no trails to track down. There was only a string of poisonings, an energy drink, and a mysterious psychopath on the loose. The forensic technology of 1985 had been exhausted, and to this day, the identity of the vending machine killer remains a mystery. Monster of Florence. At last, we have the Monster of Florence, also known in Italy as Il Mostro, who is the suspect serial killer behind 16 murders that took place in Florence over the course of nearly 20 years. The killings were primarily of young couples, and the incidents were linked by the similarity of the murders and the same gun used. The subject of several books and films, the Monster of Florence murders are marked by a series of arrests and convictions that were strongly criticized by the media. On more than one occasion, a suspect was charged with being the killer until being exonerated following another killing. The murders themselves all followed a similar pattern. Couples were stalked at night before being shot and stabbed to death. The first murder was of Antonio Lobianco, age 29, and Barbara Locci, age 32, who were both shot by a .22 Beretta. The husband of Locci was initially charged with the murder, spending 6 years in jail, but was released after further couples were murdered using the same gun. The final murder occurred in 1985, after Jean-Michel Kravishvili and Nadim Mourayed were killed on a camping trip in Italy. Shot and stabbed while in their tent, Jean-Michel was killed while trying to escape, while Mourayed's corpse was heavily mutilated. The murderer sent a gloating note to the state prosecutor, which was received shortly after the discovery of the corpse. Despite all of the arrests associated with the case, the general consensus is that the real Monster of Florence has never been found. Many witnesses had stated that the murdered couples said they had been harassed by an unpleasant and weird man shortly before the killings took place, but no conclusive evidence has ever been found for the serial killer's identity. Do you think these killers are still at large? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and also subscribe to our channel for your regular dose of whodunits. See you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay warm, and don't get any crazy ideas.